Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
I hit it. I did hit it. I hit the button. Happy Independence Day. Hope you're having a wonderful July 4th. Great to be with you. Great to be with you on the 4th. It's a little bit hot, but hope you're out there enjoying the cookout and just having a great time. There's something about July 4th that for us has been pretty special. We did some special, I should say, Katie did some pretty incredible grilling yesterday on our Blackstone griddle. So we had burgers, we had brats, and we were just enjoying the 4th of July holiday and weekend. Hope you did too. It's great to have you along. Good to be with you. It's been a couple of weeks since we last joined you. So thank you so much for letting us pop in this evening. We've got some things to catch up on. You know, one of the things we have been talking about each week was Obi-Wan Kenobi. The last episode of Obi-Wan aired a couple of weeks ago. We watched it, and there were parts of it that I really, really enjoyed. I wish the rest of that series had been as good. They're already now talking potentially about another one with some really. Do we need to? I'm not so sure we need to go back and revisit that again. Having said that, there were things about it that I really, really liked. Katie, I don't think you did so much, did you?
Nope, it definitely was not it was a stinker.
Now, why do you say that? What were the things that just kind of soured it for you?
You watch a Star Wars movie and you know it's a Star Wars movie. It just gives you that Star Wars feeling. I mean, I watched the animated Rebels series and I got more of a Star Wars feeling than I did from Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan itself, the Vader was used poorly. It felt more like a cameo drop. It didn't really drive the narrative. What they ended up doing with Reva was just ridiculous.
I think that character should have just been scrapped.
Yeah.
You could have lost that character and not lost anything in terms of the plot of that miniseries at all.
It was basically the Reva and Leia show. I mean, I don't even know why they had Obi-Wan in it, honestly.
Yeah, there were things about it I didn't like. I didn't hate the appearance of Leia as much as I know you did.
It didn't work. I mean, you got a 10-year-old who can outsmart every adult in the known galaxy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the trend that that's the direction Disney's moving in. It's one of the reasons why I'm not hot to watch a lot of the Disney properties, just to be honest with you.
And I just thought it was a little ridiculous. The icing on the cake for how crappy Leia was in that series is you come down to it's one of the last scenes in the last episode, and Leia and Obi-Wan are having a conversation, and Obi-Wan is like, you got your now bearing in mind, Senator Organa and his wife are right there.
Right.
And he's like, well, your real parents, you got your presents here and this from this and that from your real parents. And it's like, come on.
There were a lot of things about it that didn't work. And I'm with you. I thought Vader was in it too little. That was one of the things that I was really hoping for and looking forward to, because Darth Vader is just one of the iconic characters of Star Wars, no question. But that Star Wars has slid downhill has been going on since they started the original trilogy of movies. You know, you started the first 3 films, and it was, starting to, they just weren't of the quality that we had seen in episodes 4, 5, and 6. So it started downhill, and then you got to the rest of the series, with Rey and all of that, and really started heading downhill about full steam ahead. So it's no surprise then that when Disney now produces these shows much shorter, that they just don't. There's a lot of things that don't click.
Well, you look at it, the writing wasn't good. They left open way too many plot holes. It had its moments, but they weren't enough to salvage the whole thing. Star Wars itself still had a bit of a comedy. I mean, it had little bits and pieces where there was some levity in it.
Yes.
This wasn't. It was just all doom and gloom the entire freaking time.
Yeah.
And I think there are portions where they tried to insert some levity into it, and it flopped miserably. It also, I mean, just on an appearance sake, just looking at it, it's way too dark. I mean, not like dark like ominous, but like dark like visually dark.
Right. Because you're on Tatooine, which is a world where, as you know, two suns, lots of light, lots of desert, lots of sand, that kind of stuff. And we're going to shoot all these scenes at night. I just, that whole thing just.
We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. The guy who routinely is in our chat, Steve, had brought up the point that, and it holds true. It's when it's so dark like that, and it's always when they're doing all the CGI stuff, it's poor animation. And it's almost like they're using it to cover that. So I get it. And there's just way too much filler material. I mean.
Well, and there's no reason to use darkness to try to cover bad animation. I mean, as good as animation has gotten, I understand originally, when you're getting the first CGI films, but we're a long way past that now. I mean, what's going on with computers? They're just absolutely incredible. I mean, you and I are playing video games that are just absolutely blow me away, the graphics on it.
I just rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark maybe about a week ago.
Yeah.
And that was what, 81, 82?
Yeah, it was, about that time.
Okay, some of those graphics, and that's right when they were starting to first use some computer animation in there, held up better than what some of this stuff does in Obi-Wan. And we're talking, what, almost 20 years?
Were there, I'm not even sure there were any.
There were some.
Yeah, because, and there were. You're right, because I think it was The Last Starfighter was one of the films where they started using initially, some of the animated stuff. And even in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, there was a sequence where they do the Genesis planet.
Yep.
It was one of the first fully animated sequences that they had done, which at the time looked pretty incredible and even still holds up when you watch it now.
Yeah.
So I agree. There's just no reason for CGI at this point to be that badly, unless it's just done poorly.
And also, I mean, when it comes to just the visual of what Obi-Wan looked like, I mean, if you look at like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we were talking about that. They whipped through those CGI scenes so fast.
Yes.
You can't take it in. You just can't appreciate it. What that reminds me is, if you remember one of the original Transformers movies that Hasbro put out, where I
wasn't a big Transformers fan, but yes, I know of the movies.
Yeah, and I went and saw it in the movie theater, and those fight scenes that they did with the Transformers, they were all obviously CGI, and CGI was way overused in those movies.
Yeah.
And it was so fast, you couldn't take it in. But then when people have slowed it down, it just looked like crap.
Right.
And I mean, if you're going to do it for the visual impact, do it and do it right. I get you have a budget, but if you're going to make something visually stunning, then you got to put the time and effort into it. Don't just leave a dumpster fire on there and put a black or, a nightshade over it and call it good.
I absolutely agree with you. And I don't know, Obi-Wan, there's talk about maybe they'll do an additional,
season.
Another 6-part series or another season or however they're going to do it. I would just leave it as it is. I mean, honestly, you and I talked about this previously. One of the problems you have when you're going back and you're creating content that's supposed to exist between the movies, these Star Wars films. So we already know what's going to happen, as you and I talked about, it would have made sense at the end of Obi-Wan. And again, we've got spoilers here, so apologies if you've not seen it. But it would have made sense if Obi-Wan had killed Anakin.
Yeah.
It would have made sense because, you know, he looks at him. He knows he's not going to change. He knows he is what he is. That's not going to change. It would have made sense for Obi-Wan to strike him down right then. Instead, no, let's leave. Battle him another day. We'll leave him to cause numerous problems later. But it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the thing is you know where that our story arc ends up in A New Hope. But then, fine, if they're going to have Obi-Wan and Darth Vader face off, they shouldn't have had that last battle. And again, yes, spoiler alert. Yeah, this is one big spoiler. They shouldn't have had that last battle in the final part of that series because it's just like, oh yeah, lightsabers, we're great, and then done. They're using. I think the buildup is that you finally see Obi-Wan getting his Force, he becoming more in tune with the Force, and he's able to utilize it more when he's taking on Vader. Because they're just throwing rocks. And
yes,
everything's
right.
sort of Force lightning at him. And
he kind of comes back, and that was that, and I enjoyed that. I mean, I liked that.
I mean, so you get at least some satisfaction over that story arc, but it's just like, oh yeah, we're doing it, and I mean, Vader's beat down, and he's saying Anakin, because his helmet's smashed.
Right.
Where you've seen that a couple of times before as well, and it's no, you didn't kill Anakin, I killed Anakin. And it's, so it's Vader taking over. But it's like, okay, why?
Yeah.
I mean, why didn't you have Reva and Vader go after it then or something?
Yeah, it just was not a compelling, movie or series.
And you move.
Just didn't really hold me all the way through it.
And you move back one part to part 5, and that's the episode where, it got a lot of press, where Hayden Christensen comes back is de-aged Anakin.
Yes, right.
Which was not good.
Not well done, you mean?
It was
technically.
Cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, when he stopped and they got a front face shot of him, it was kind of cringy.
Right.
And it was just lip service to fans. That's all it was. I mean, yeah, it's great that they thought of that, but it just...
Well, and the, lightsaber fighting, it just does not compare to what we saw in episode 1 and what we saw in episode 3, especially, the previous battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan, pretty incredible in those films. And you didn't see that in this. You never saw any kind of just absolutely impressive, wielding of a lightsaber. There just wasn't any of that. Didn't work.
Laura from Facebook says she watched the first episode and she was really confused, but Josh watched it and fell asleep.
Right.
I know my nephew had texted me the other day and he wasn't too keen on it either, specifically Leah's character. Just how, for lack of a better term, obnoxious.
Yeah, I thought they were trying to do too much there. Leia's already got a pretty significant role, and I think trying to expand that character as a child. Again, I don't know that made sense to me, but
I don't know. I think.
And then why was Luke in it? You see Luke, and then Reva apparently is going to kill Luke, and then no, instead she brings him home, delivers him to his parents. It's like, what the hell was all that about? This didn't make any sense.
That whole scene was only set up for one reason and one reason only. You know what it is.
It's for Obi-Wan to deliver that.
No, it's
no. Oh, for Reva's to set her up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was to set Reva up because there's supposed to be a spinoff for Reva.
Which I will not watch. Seriously, I will not.
Because Reva at that point is like, no, I can't do this anymore. She's having all these flashbacks to when she was a youngling and Anakin was killing them all during Order 66.
Right.
And, and then she's just bringing Luke back to her parents and everything's just great. And, Obi-Wan forgives her. And then, that scene, that episode ends with Obi-Wan going off into the mountains around, or canyons or whatever, around Tatooine. It's not the sand desert, but whatever. It's all one big desert. And you see Qui-Gon's Force ghost, and then that's where he's going to start communing with the Force.
Right. And I did like that.
Yeah.
I did like seeing him in that role again.
Yeah.
And that it was time that Obi-Wan was ready. And
so I'm wondering, what is the spinoff going to be if they bring it back? Is it just going to be Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon sitting in a cave, or what?
Well, and part of the difficulty is, like I said, you can't kill Obi-Wan. You can't threaten Obi in any kind of significant way. These characters, Qui-Gon, how are you going to hurt Qui-Gon? He's already dead. You can't hurt him, So it's just.
I have the answer.
How?
Because they've done it so many times in the last so many years with different franchises. There's going to be a multiverse. We'll have a Star Wars multiverse.
Oh, please, let's
time travel.
Yeah.
So that way we can just retcon everything and then bring it back. And if we screw something up, it was just a different universe.
Well, I wonder how long it'll be before all these movies get remade.
I've heard
where somebody will say, we want to retell. We need to retell this whole series and it'll be like,
a new
stink.
generation.
It'll absolutely suck. It'll be terrible, awful.
But
at least under Disney as it is now. Disney as it is now could not produce this stuff.
A New Hope came out in 1979?
77, I think.
77,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that movie has been remastered a few times, and then there's been Lucas has tweaked it a number of times. But still, how well hasn't that movie held up?
Agreed.
Extraordinarily well.
Yeah. Because George Lucas knew how to tell a story.
So
you got to give Lucas credit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so I just wonder if, like, with these last go-arounds, Lucas has been less and less involved, or what?
Well, yeah, by that time he was passing it off to Disney. He had sold the whole franchise, and so it was no longer his properties. He sold it.
He just must not be involved with it anymore, because I don't know. Just
I don't blame him for this train wreck. No. Disney totally owns this.
I absolutely don't blame him. What I'm getting at is that taking those people out who were key to making Star Wars,
right,
and the people who truly understood it because they were creating the universe,
right,
does a lot of damage. And it obviously, yes, people retire, people move on, people whatever. But look at how many different franchises there are that have been able to keep it going for decades and still have that same magic that made you come to it in the first place.
Yeah.
Star Trek, some of them. You've got Batman series. Those, some of the DC movies, some of the DC movies, not all.
No.
But when you have a good one, when you have a bad one, and then you start watching the credits and seeing who was involved with it, you're like, yes, these are people who truly have had an understanding throughout this franchise. And
how can you watch credits anymore? They're just. I remember going to the movie when you could actually watch the credits and know. Now it's like pages and pages.
The only reason you watch.
Wow.
You got to admit, Marvel has trained us to watch credits, or at least sit through them. Not necessarily watch them, but sit through them.
Agreed.
I was waiting for that.
Because there's more content.
Yep.
Which you almost have to do with the credits as they become.
But a lot of times, and also when I say credits, not necessarily credits, but
scenes, additional scenes.
You're going through and you're reading the IMDb page on productions, and you're seeing who's involved with it, and that's where you're seeing. Or when you get news of what's coming out, you're looking at who's involved, who's the producers, who's the writers, who's the directors. And you start to see names that you recognize with franchises, and you're like, yeah, this stands a chance of not sucking.
Right. It's got Disney's name on it. Yeah, I don't have much hope.
There's not.
And again, there were things about it I liked. I didn't hate it as badly as you did. I think you liked it a lot less than I did.
It left a real sour taste in my mouth.
I understand. And it was like when you and I watched Moon Knight, you know, it left me with this just horrible taste in my mouth. I went, I am not going to watch this again. I'm not going to go back and watch another season and cross my fingers and I hope this one's going to be better. They're not going to be. It's going to suck. I'm done.
Ultimately,
I'm going to cut my losses now.
Ultimately, that's what I did with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I mean, I'm just like, well, can't suck any worse than Jurassic Park 3. And it didn't. But I mean, what's that say anymore that, you know, what, 2 decades ago, a decade and a half ago, you'd hear a movie was coming out. It was these big blockbuster movies from people you know or from a franchise you know. You'd get excited about it, and it actually delivered.
Yeah, Juan, I'll give you an example. It's still possible. Top Gun is an example. Look at what Top Gun, in fact, I looked at the top box office for this week. Top Gun Maverick is at number 2. Again, still at number 2.
And that's been out for over
weeks.
Month and a half.
Yeah. Minions, and I'm excited to see that. Well, Minions Rise. What do you mean? What's the kind of shrugging look?
I like Despicable Me. What can I say?
I do too. I think that's going to be a great movie.
You can't watch it and not laugh.
Yeah. Anyway, Minions Rise of Gru drew 107 million this weekend. Top Gun Maverick 25.7 million. Elvis, Jurassic World Dominion, The Black Phone, that's that Ethan Hawke movie, and then Lightyear at 6.3 million. So Lightyear has been on a slowly, since it was released, declining trend.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. Disney's never going to get their money back out of that.
Well, how's Disney going to get their money back out of any of these properties? They're just not good.
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I get trying to milk a cash cow for all you can get, but to what end? Sometimes anything you make should leave you wanting more.
Agreed.
And it should come out on top. That's just my opinion. But everything I've seen come out of Disney, whether it's the Marvel stuff, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's some of their other stuff, just is like, why? Why did I watch this? Why did I give this another shot? Why did I pay my $8.15 a month to watch this?
Right.
That's after taxes.
No, I have the same kind of feeling.
But, well, we needed something to make us feel a little bit better, so we ended up watching, what was it, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe?
Yes. Now I'm an older guy. I was not really plugged into Beavis and Butthead when they were first around. I certainly knew of them, but I was not really kind of plugged into them at that point. Starting a family, working, raising kids, all of that stuff. That's what was going on in my life. And so I knew of them. I got to tell you, I laughed my ass off as we watched that show.
So just a little bit of setup. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe is what takes place 25 years after the original Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Yes.
It's streaming now on Paramount Plus. So if you're trying to look where you can watch it, if you want to, that's where it's at. Now, when Beavis and Butthead was first out, I wasn't supposed to be watching it at the time because I probably was too young to be watching it.
Okay.
But I did anyway.
Yeah, like I say, at the time that it came out, there just wasn't really anything. I'm working, just married. There wasn't anything that was really grabbing me that like I gotta watch this. But I'm so glad that I watched this, and I laughed out loud repeatedly throughout this movie. Yeah, it's juvenile. I mean, I will say there's some of this humor that's just absolutely juvenile.
Oh, it's
of the things. I mean, that's Beavis and Butthead.
It's perverted garbage humor the whole way through. So just, I'm not telling you anything or any spoiler alerts with that one. It's Beavis and Butthead. That tells you enough.
Yeah, because I mean, they're at NASA. They wind up
in space. There's aliens.
I got it from. I loved this. There's a scene where they're at a science. They're in high school at the science fair. And the incredible scene where, and you got to help me with that. Where did they, the guy who came up with the football kicker?
Give me just a second here.
Yeah, this is a real life invention that this guy created. This football kicker, you wind it up, and then you throw the lever, and that thing will hit the football. And he was trying to, hit field goals from so far out and so on with this mechanical device. Well, then in the hands of Beavis and Butthead, that device turns into,
the YouTuber's name is Mark Rober. He's extremely popular.
Yeah.
He just creates inventions and stuff. It's a great YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, he's got this.
It is. It's great stuff.
The YouTube video from a year ago has 53 million views, so it's obviously worth a view. But it's world's longest field goal kick. It's a robot versus an NFL kicker.
Right.
Spoiler alert, the robot wins. But it's just this hydraulic powered leg. And yeah, and that's what they set up the kick.
Yeah, and he's pulling it back and winding it further and further and further back. And you're not going to kick me in the nuts, are you?
Because that's what they were experimenting on for the science fair.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not. And it's far worse. But that scene of him flying through the air over the top of the auditorium, the school gymnasium auditorium, wherever they were, it just was hilarious. That was worth watching that movie just for that scene.
Then there's a whole bunch of NASA's. It's just it's typical Beavis and Butthead. It's a good watch.
Well, and they inject some politics into it because they're going around. We've got white privilege. They wind up walking into a college class on their way somewhere, and the instructor points out there are examples of white privilege, and so then they start going out and just treating people rudely, taking what they want and saying, "Oh yeah, white privilege, we've got white privilege." It's a funny show.
But yep, worth a watch.
Absolutely.
I don't want to give too many spoilers away on that one because it just came out, I think, a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So, Greg, it's 4th of July. What are your favorite 4th of July themed movies or 4th of July?
Everybody says Independence Day, and I get that. Independence Day is one of those movies that a lot of people love on the 4th of July. This is going to sound weird to you, but what a fan I am of Jaws. I have been for years, since that movie came out. And, part of that takes place on July 4th. It's about having the beaches open on the 4th of July. And despite the shark and, killings that the shark has been. So that would have to be one of my favorite 4th of July movies.
How you say Jaws, that reminds me of that stupid video game I've been playing. What was it, Manhunter?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd say...
No, you were doing pretty well.
You just swim around and eat people. Somebody's trying to hunt you. No, mine, I'm going to be probably milquetoast on this one. Mine's got to be Independence Day.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's a great movie.
It is.
You had a great list of stars at the time that really make that. the special effects I thought at that time were pretty wild. You know, blowing up the White House, blowing up the Empire State Building. All of that was great fun.
And what's really cool, I think it was the History Channel movie one they did. They show how they blew up the White House, and it's actually a miniature that they did of that.
Right.
Well, obviously they didn't blow it.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool how they show the miniaturettes and how they did that. But
yeah, that original was great, and then any remakes of that just I think have failed.
I think there was 20 years after.
Yeah.
It came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
But so
because we watched that, right? Because
it was so memorable, I forgot it.
Right.
So what's coming out this week?
How do you mean?
What movies are coming out this week?
Oh, actually, I don't.
Oh.
I don't have a list of movies. There are things coming up that I want to watch for, and one of them is the last season of Better Call Saul, because that's coming up pretty quick. That'll be July 11th. That's the final season? That's the final season of Better Call Saul. That's one of the things coming up that I'm excited to watch. This will just sound terrible, but the DC League of Super Pets is coming.
I'm looking forward to that one too. And it's sad that, besides Batman, that's the only superhero type movie I'm excited about.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
And I'm more excited to go see that one than Thor Love. What is it? Thor
Love and Thunder.
Thunder and Love.
Thunder and Love. Yeah.
Thunder and Love. And it's that's coming out on the 8th. So Friday.
I'm really not all that excited about Thor coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not. It seems to me one of the things they're doing is setting up, and you see this in Marvel, they're setting up females to take all the male characters over.
I gotta show that meme I sent you this week because it's
pretty funny.
Give me just half a second, I'll find it.
Well, and I think it's very appropriate to what we see going on right now, especially at Marvel and what they're doing.
Absolutely.
You and I have talked about this previously. I have absolutely no problem if you're creating new characters and they're strong female characters. I love that. But having to take the male characters and then turn them over to females, for the life of me, I do not understand that. And that just seems to be standard operating procedure right now at Marvel.
Here's the.
You got it?
Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
So this is the new event. This is just this was a screenshot of a meme from Facebook, I think. But I mean, this is basically what they're setting up. You got the new Black Widow, the new Thor, new Iron Heart, not Iron Man. This is the new Hawkeye. Oh, She-Hulk. Yeah, that should be coming out here at the end of this month, I guess. And then Captain America redone. Yeah.
And there's none of those characters that, again, taking those male characters and now having women playing the roles that makes zero sense to me. Why not create strong female characters? It's as if we somehow have a problem with strong female characters. I don't think we do. Why not build those characters up in the same way that Iron Man or any of the others have been?
So if we go back and we look, I'm going to target Marvel here. And again, don't quote me. I'm not a comic book buff here at all, but I know enough to know what sucks. There's 60, 70 years of comic book history in that whole Marvel catalog.
Even That's about correct. Yeah.
Again, about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to tell me in that entire Marvel catalog, there are not strong female superheroes on their own that didn't have to be re-engineered from male superheroes. I'm going to name a few right now. Sue Storm.
Yeah.
You've got Invisible. Nope, that was Sue Storm. And then you've got
the Invisible Girl, right?
Yeah, Storm. You've got how many X-Men characters?
Right.
You've got
No, but you're right. I mean, you made the case right there. We've already seen the progression that they're and fans are welcoming that. So it's not as if you have to convert these male characters to female characters in order to placate fans. They're already on board.
Do you think that part of the reason they're doing some of that stuff where they're just re-engineering male characters to female characters is that they're hoping that fan base from the original character is there and that they'll retain some of those coming over to
Do you see that happening, though? How many people are pissed at that kind of stuff?
Oh, there are gobs of people who are pissed at that
Exactly.
stuff.
It's not happening. It's not working. So.
And I just think see, everybody always compares DC to Marvel, right? You just find it funny. You don't see that happening a lot in DC. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I see,
not to the degree that we're seeing it with Marvel, I would agree.
No. Yeah. Now, has DC introduced other female characters? Yes, but they were already pre-existing characters. They're not taking like Batman and making it Batman woman because there's a Batwoman. Yeah. So that's why I'm just like,
right. But DC's got its own bag of cats. They're kind of way behind the time.
You're true. Give it about
they're
7.
They're not very original in a lot of their ideas that they come up with. Marvel does something, it's a big deal. And then suddenly, oh, yeah, you know what? We need to do that.
You're right. I'll wait 7 years and then DC will start re-individuating, or you'll have Batman woman.
I'm seeing there is some of that stuff that is taking place already in DC big time. In some of the animated films that you see, and that go to cable, that kind of thing. That
right,
you're
like the WB
streaming
Direct
online.
The Direct to HBO.
Right.
What are they? WB? I can't remember. DC Direct ones.
DC Direct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when some of that stuff, you're seeing that already. I was seeing.
I don't think
there's a story earlier this morning about, Robin and, young Robin and it's
but
like.
Robin's gone back and forth a couple of times, because you had Grace Kelly Kelly.
Carrie, well, that's only in The Dark Knight Returns. Carrie Kelly. Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought there was a female Robin at one point.
Yeah, there was, but just in The Dark Knight Returns, however.
Standalone.
Yes.
But yeah, so
yeah, it's young Superman along with the young Robin, and it's what they're doing with that. I'm not going to go into detail, but believe me, it is of no interest to me whatsoever.
I think they're doing a lot of damage long term to some long-standing franchises that the formula has worked for decades, and then why all of a sudden in the last 10 years does everything, we must re-engineer it, we must rewrite this, we must.
Sadly, politics is driving so much of that. I don't know that that's going to change given the state of politics right now.
It's just sad.
It is.
Because there's so much material there that you got a treasure trove, but it's just like, man, I'm just going to shove all that off the table and just write horse crap and try and sell a sandwich to somebody.
Right.
What do you do?
I agree.
Well, since it's the 4th of July, we did. What's your? We gotta try and clarify something here, Greg. Are you a propane guy or a charcoal guy? I wish I could have found the King of the Hill, but I couldn't find one before we got started. But everybody knows, Hank Hill is all about the propane.
Right. Thing about propane is it's just so convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to come home and you just turn the switches on and fire up the grill and let it warm up a bit and you're off and running versus charcoal. I love charcoal flavored food. There's no question about it. I would always, when somebody's cooking via, charcoal, it always tastes better. Always tastes better. Seriously.
No, I'm not laughing about that. It just reminds me sometimes I've made burgers on a charcoal grill, and I think the burgers I made looked more like briquettes than they did the actual burger. They probably tasted like briquettes.
You really have to take care when grilling, whether you're, honestly, you have to take care whether you're on charcoal, whether you're on using propane, on a gas grill, whether, you're on...
infrared. Electric.
Well, I was thinking of what we're using, which I really, really love.
Oh, that Blackstone, that thing's forgiving as heck compared to. But yeah, the only reason I bring it up, we like food. I mean, we enjoy cooking out, we enjoy going out. But yeah, I always have to laugh around this. One thing we were looking forward to this weekend because the dynamic director really, really hates fireworks, so he's sitting behind me hiding. Right.
I feel bad for him. Yeah,
but he spent most of the weekend.
He's been doped up the last few days,
but he sleeps. So we were, looking at cooking out, and we ended up doing burgers and brats, and then you got Belf's beer brats that we made yesterday.
It was all phenomenally good. I mean, honestly, I thought you did it. And you're kind of like, you are the keeper of the Blackstone griddle at our place. I mean, you handle the Blackstone, and I'm happy to let you do it because the stuff always comes off there really great. So
Laura says they're making burgers right now on the griddle. She said the next purchase they're getting is a Blackstone. So
I think you'll enjoy it. It's a different kind of cooking experience. And you've got to treat it before you first use it. Several times actually, but ours is getting nice and black now. And
it's easier to think about that cooked surface more like cast iron. I mean, how you have to season it and keep it, clean it. I'm telling you, if you get one, clean it off right away. Don't let it gum up, and it'll treat you right. And the more you cook on it, the easier it is, and the more nonstick that surface gets too.
Right.
The first couple times I tried to cook eggs on it when we had just gotten it, it wasn't seasoned. Made a mess, but now they come right off. And avocado oil is your friend with those things too. Just got a higher smoke point.
Well, I think you're really great at it. You're a great cook anyway.
Keep them out of the wind too. That's the other. They don't like wind.
True.
Because it's hard for them to get hot and stay hot.
Because we talked about buying some of the sides for the Blackstone, so that
they sell some wind guards for them. That's purchase that we'll be heading out to go make probably this week. But yeah, we made burgers.
Yeah, if you live in South Dakota, protecting yourself from the wind, that's that's a necessity.
I was about ready to tell Greg to go sit out there with the grill cover and be a wind block.
Yeah.
But it didn't get to that.
No.
So how do you make your brats, Greg? Because we always have really, really good brats. How do you make those?
You boil them in beer. You add some garlic. You add some onions. And you gotta, now when I say boil them, I don't mean like you don't want a rolling boil. You want to really slowly start to heat the thing. Because what'll happen is if you heat those bratwurst too fast, you'll get the liquid inside, the fat inside will tear the skin of the bratwurst and it'll open up. You want to preserve that inside because that's all great flavor. So the trick is to kind of start them low. You can turn them up some, get it so it's going, but just kind of ride that, the heat so that so that you're not splitting those bratwurst, because that's happened to me a number of times. I pull out the brats and, this one split all the way down the side. This one split all the way down the side. and you lose a lot of flavor when you do that. So the trick is to boil them very, very slow. You don't have to do it that long. If you leave them on the grill 20 minutes, so now you have cooked them. You put them on the grill then to put that nice,
char on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the other things we were talking about earlier today is last night we tried putting that color on there with the Blackstone. And honestly, I still think the propane grill does that just a little bit better because you get that, it just puts a better char on them. But then again,
yeah, because it's, normally you get the flames then right there versus on the Blackstone where you've got the hot cooking surface.
Hot plate, yep.
Yeah. So they were still really good last night. I loved them.
So I think you just get a better snap out of those brats though when you do them you finish them on the grill than the griddle. But, yep.
Yeah. So those turned out, I thought, really well yesterday, and the burgers along with it. And
you just can't have a 4th of July weekend without grilling out.
I agree. It's one of the fun. It's one of the fun things I've enjoyed about the 4th of July.
It's kind of like synonymous with Super Bowl in January,
right?
Regardless of how atrocious it gets, we still end up watching.
Right. We weren't much for fireworks this year, but
we got pretty lucky a few years ago to be able to go out and see fireworks out at Mount Rushmore. So, I mean, that's probably the last fireworks show I think I've gone and actually watched.
Well, and it's one of those things that you have that experience and it's like, yeah, no, I don't mean to knock fireworks, but that's a pretty tough act to follow.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
What do you got? What's your rundown look like this week?
Let's take a look at the rundown. I got a number of different things, odds and ends from, and bits and pieces from fandom. Okay, there's a lot of speculation as to who the next James Bond might be. Some of the names being thrown around right now: Henry Cavill, Tom Hardy, Tom Hiddleston, but with no decision yet. It's going to be some time before we see James Bond back on the screen because, again, they've not even settled with who James Bond will be, let alone sign that person. The Terminal List with Chris Pratt began airing this month on Amazon Prime. There's been heavy online promotion now that the first episode of that has aired. There are going to be 8 episodes of the Terminal List this season. That'll be one of those things that appeals to me. I like Chris Pratt anyway, but that looks good. The first official online teaser art is out for Stephen King's upcoming adaptation of Salem's Lot. That'll be due in theaters in just over 3 months. So this is the first promotion of the movie. But again, it'll be in theaters about 3 months from now. Warner Brothers has delayed Dune Part 2, but not by much. But you're going to have to wait. Part 2 will be released on November 17th of 2023, which is quite a wait. And if you'd rather not wait, I still recommend going to watch 1984's Dune. It's a great film if you've not seen 1984's Dune. And having watched the remake, it's like, I've seen this before in 1984. Basically, it's that same movie. And then production is wrapped on season 2 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. I'm a big fan of that. The last so production is wrapped now on season 2. Season 1 just aired on Thursday. And if you haven't seen it yet, be prepared to say goodbye to a major character. And that's the rundown this week.
Yeah, we continue to like that show.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
For being a Star Trek newbie, I will say I think the final episode of that first season airs this week.
Correct.
I keep forgetting today's Monday. It feels like it's Sunday.
Correct.
But yeah, looking forward to that. It's been a good show. It's at least been airing during Obi-Wan, so we had something decent to watch after watching that train wreck. So,
right.
So Greg, what do you got for this week's Cave of Wonders?
The Cave of Wonders.
Huh? Cave of Wonders?
This is an official Batman shoot from the 1960s. Now, this would be before the television show in 1966. So this piece is from about 1964, 3 or 4, and it's the Batman shoot. And I chose this one in honor of the 4th of July because a lot of the, as a kid, I used to love to light the nighttime parachutes. You'd fire those nighttime parachutes. This Batman shoot is not as cool as that. You don't blast it off. You throw it up in the air and the chute unfolds and Batman floats down to Earth, which in 1964 was pretty much the height of entertainment. That was a pretty nifty toy in 1964. Let me tell you.
Isn't it funny how, though, you remember like 4th of July and you'd be outside at your family get-togethers or whatever, and you always had the toys and the games and stuff like that that would like kill you nowadays.
Right.
Because you had like lawn darts. You had, I can remember chasing my sister around with croquet clubs. All the games you were supposed to be playing, you just turn into like sibling rivalry. And it's really funny as I call me
Right.
2 seconds.
Well, and I grew up outside of Sioux Falls, so it was kind of a bit of a rural area then at the time. So we were about a mile and a half at that time, actually closer to 2.5 miles. So we were outside of Sioux Falls. And so we were able to light fireworks. My parents would let me light fireworks and talk about those nighttime parachutes. I'll never forget. I was lighting one and I had my head right over it and it had a fast fuse. And by fast, I mean like, boom, it went off. Now, fortunately, when I tell you I'm leaning over it, the thing went off, this parachute went off, but it hit me right here. Hit me in the forehead. Didn't hit me in the eye, anything like that. But it hit me and I fell over backwards. Because first of all, it scared the hell out of me. That boom. But suddenly, I got quite a lecture from my dad about that. He was more concerned that I was safe. So he didn't bawl me out, but that made the point to me about being careful with fireworks.
And, everybody's got that dumb fireworks story from when they were a kid. I think the one I remember and I will never forget is I lived in Minnesota growing up, so you couldn't have fireworks or you couldn't launch fireworks, but everybody had them. We were out at a campground, and you know how most campgrounds have like the pit toilet, and they generally just are rank. They stink. There's flies. It stinks. Nobody wants to go to the bathroom. Now, bear in mind, this is a concrete structure that has a tin roof. This is important for later in the story. So a bunch of people sitting around may have been consuming some liquid courage, decide to get like a Pringles can and fill it full of bottle rockets. And then proceed to drop said Pringles can down the commode and run like hell out of there. I remember that thing going off for like 3 minutes. It's just like ping, 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 ping,
Right.
ping. And it just smoke billowing out the top of this
Can you
commode.
imagine how that thing stunk afterward, as if it didn't stink bad enough already?
You would be shocked. It actually smelled so much better after they had lit off that Pringles can in the commode. Oh my gosh. Never forget that. But it just looked like, that was hilarious.
That's funny.
Between that and then riding around on golf carts with Roman candles trying to hit each other.
Yeah, we did a lot of that too, where we would shoot the Roman candles at each other. Bottle rockets we would fire at each other.
You put it just, something with a V or something, and you could aim it, theoretically.
I was pretty good that I could toss those things.
You didn't want it spinning, though.
Right. No, you'd light the fuse, pull it back, and throw it.
Oh.
And as you threw it, the thing would take off.
Yep.
Yeah, and it could be incredibly accurate.
We were.
Oh, we were reckless as all hell.
We
as
had
kids.
one of those multi-shot ones, where
Yeah.
you'd light it and it'd shoot off like, I don't know, up to
Yeah,
100 something.
those rockets.
Yes. We were out at a friend's place and we'd cleared out some space and thankfully it wasn't very dry so we could shoot them off there. We light it and the dang thing tipped over on its side.
Right.
We found that retaining wall so fast for cover because that thing was just shooting at us then. And it's, of course, with ample adult supervision.
Yeah.
As required by the, recommended by the packaging. But, so many bad fireworks stories.
Yeah. I loved fireworks. Honestly, I would look forward to that for months. Looking forward to lighting off fireworks on the 4th of July.
Gosh, I can remember multiple times driving home from South Dakota back to Minnesota and just having.
Right.
Because we could get the good stuff here.
Right. And which is, in South Dakota, of course, being really, respectful of other states, we sell those fireworks year round to those who don't live in South Dakota.
Yeah.
So if you live in South Dakota, you can only buy it for a certain window of time.
Yeah, it's like the last week in June.
Right. So you only for a few weeks that you can go get fireworks. But if you're from out of state, buy all you want. Take them home.
I was so mad when I registered my license from Minnesota to South Dakota. And
Yeah.
they took it. I went my fireworks. But I swear, every state, every big road where you're going from, say, Minnesota to South Dakota or vice versa,
Right.
there is a fireworks stand. You can be up in Podunk, northeastern or South Dakota. Come over the Minnesota border. There's a fireworks stand.
I think it's one of the main businesses in South Dakota.
One of the biggest ones, I think.
Yes. Yeah, but there are just a number of different places. Pretty
Prime is right
phenomenal.
off 29.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Gotta love those interstate highways.
Big commerce. There you go.
Yes.
I'll never forget. I was driving down to Missouri. Oh gosh, this had to be probably about 2014. And there's a big fireworks display there's a big fireworks outlet. And this is right around the 4th. And they just start shooting off fireworks right by the road. And I'm driving, and it's dark.
Right.
And I'm driving. I'm like, what the AJ? There's all these cars parked along the interstate.
Right.
And I was slightly sleep deprived too at the time. So I'm just like, what? Oh.
Pretty wild.
Shenanigans. You could spend a whole paycheck on fireworks and stuff.
Oh, I used to love it. Honestly.
Yeah.
And I've got, I'm so old anymore that like the thrill of lighting off fireworks. But then I would have to admit there's still something about it. If I had the chance to light off fireworks, I would not pass it up. There's just something about it that's just fun.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy you stopping by for our 4th of July reviews. If you haven't already and you enjoy the content we're providing, give us a like. If you haven't, subscribe. It's there, regardless of what platform you're on, be it Twitch or YouTube or Facebook. Let your friends know if this is the kind of content you enjoy, or let us know if, hey, you guys aren't doing so hot. We're also available on Spotify.
No, now that I think about it, no, don't let me know I'm not doing so hot.
Show's also available on Spotify after the fact. And Greg, what are you looking forward to? One thing you want to watch this week?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Westworld, probably.
Westworld. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. We've got it. Honestly, I like Westworld. The last season was a little bit different from the first two. I'm excited about this. It'll be good to see Westworld on.
Yep.
So you've been rewatching some of that, and I'm getting sucked right back into it again. I think that's been a phenomenal series.
We'll have to talk a little bit about that next week, maybe. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to the season finale of Strange New Worlds coming up. Definitely not looking forward to Thor. I don't even know if we'll go see that one.
Yeah, there isn't anything that really compels me to have to go see it. I'm looking forward to what's Only Murders in the Building.
Yep, that's been out for a couple weeks on Hulu.
Yeah, we need to start watching that. That's because we really enjoyed that last season, the first season. Actually, quite good.
Well, I just ditched Disney, so I'll have to pick up Hulu now.
So thank you so much for letting us join you. We really do appreciate it. And again, if you enjoy what we're doing, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't. Comments are always welcome. And that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.